I understand that you have actually lived in Antarctica over a long period of time. What's it like?
Yes, I was on South Georgia, which is subantarctic, for a year, and then went from there to the South Orkneys, the Cygney Island. So, yeah, well, the South Orkneys is just over 60 south, which is like the same as being in Scotland. So you get daylight, but the days are short. The big change is when the sea ice comes, and you hope that you get sea ice. Now that changes the climate to cold and continental, so you get clear days without all the cloud and precipitation, because the South Orkneys are quite, and this area of the peninsula as well, they're exposed to the sea, so it's a more maritime climate. Yeah.
What's your biggest fear when you're up here? What are you looking out for?
In what way?
Health-wise and just, life-wise.
Yeah, I mean, you feel quite isolated. There were mornings I looked out over the horizon and it just went away. I had something a little more than that, because I'd also had an injury, just a scratch on a conveyor belt a couple of years earlier. That turned into a mole, which I ignored. And we used to read our newspapers late and stuff. And there was a newspaper I was reading about a journalist whose daughter got melanoma. And then we heard about Bob Marley, and then you go like, that's got bigger. I mentioned it to a couple of the doctors as I was changing bases, and they said, I'd cut that out if I were you. So we did.
On here?
On South Orkney, on Cygney Island.
Okay.
So we took a biopsy, a bit more than a biopsy as well, to make sure we'd got all of it. It seemed quite shallow. And we sent it out with the last ship. But in the back of you suppress it. In the back of your mind, you're thinking, yeah, if that is a melanoma, it doesn't look like it, but if it is, and the doctors, certainly their eyes widened when I mentioned it. Yeah, this is probably going to be your last winter anywhere. So, yeah, you get on with stuff. But there were the odd days when, like I'm sitting here looking out now, you look to the horizon, there's all that ice, and you just think, nobody's coming in and nobody's going out.
Yeah.
The odd plane would come over to the Argentine base. They used to do a mail drop for them. We saw a couple of, C-130s, Hercules. But you're there. And then it's July sometimes, I suppose. So after midwinter, we'd had the sea ice in for over a month. I was getting up late because it's dark, it's not, and I didn't have diving to do that morning. Doctor bursts into my room, waves this telex under my nose, which had some misprints because it's come over the radio and then been printed out. And I said, what's a leervus? He said, it should be nervous. It's a mole, so you've not got cancer, so
Excellent.
Get out of bed.
Oh, good.
And actually, that's when I knew how much it had been weighing on me.
Yeah, sure.
Because
What a relief.
like you're weightless, bouncing around.
Sure.
So you get lifts like that. The other big lift you get, you're very aware. You're out there alone, or with whoever you're with if you're out on skidoos or stuff.
Yeah.
We had a broken back in the winter.
Wow.
Guy hit one of our crazier drivers. Hit a windtail, so like a snowdrift, off the end of an iceberg in flat light. He didn't see it.
Yeah.
And the skidoo and the Nansen sledge took off and flew. The guy that was on the back of the skidoo got a compression fracture.
Wow.
We got him back, he had bed rest, and he's fine now.
He didn't have to leave.
No, he couldn't have left anyway.
Yeah, he couldn't have left. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Anything that's any minor thing becomes life-threatening because you have no, like even frostbite. Have you ever had frostbite?
I had frostnip my first winter. I went for a walk before breakfast at South Georgia and didn't bother with gloves. It got a bit steep, it had snowed, and I was using my hands as an ice axe. And I should have turned back really. I just wanted to go and see some of the shags and sooty petrels, sooty albatross that we had, light mantle sooties. By the time I got back to the base, I had frostnip on 4 fingers. So,
and do you have any residual?
No, they tingle for a bit. The skin peels like sunburn. It's superficial frostnip.
Frostnip is superficial. Yeah.
Frostbite has gone full thickness.
But
it makes you, it's like having sunburn. You're vulnerable again for pretty much the rest of the winter. So I had to protect them. Second winter I'd learned my lesson. I never got it. and out on the snowmobiles, I used to wear an Arab keffiyeh, Palestinian
Yeah.
scarf, and a beard. And you put that up around your goggles and you let it freeze, so it freezes to your beard and the whole lot freezes, and your warm air goes around it. And
So the
thing's as
beard
hard
is
as
a
bullet.
practical thing. It's not
Yeah,
just
most of the
laziness.
guys would grow a beard in the winter.
Interesting. Okay.
And you get these lumps of snow and your breath which freezes.
Yeah, it looks
You
very
pull
looks very
gombles.
macho.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I didn't realize it had a benefit to it.
But yeah, when it's off your skin and that happens, it's on the beard, and the beard is frozen to the cotton of the mask. Nobody could check me, mind, but I knew I could feel my whole face, whereas other people, you'd see them, it would go white. We had,
So you have a definite advantage then.
yeah, in some ways. But so you have to watch out for each other for things like that. And then one day, you know, as the days get longer, you see a black dot on the horizon, followed by another black dot, and then they form a line of black dots, and it's the penguins, the adelies, coming back. And they find their way through the ice somehow, and find the gaps in the ice to breathe, and make their way to we have rookeries, we have colonies on the island. And the male Weddell seals used to use our dive holes quite a lot, so they were around most of the winter, but then the females arrive and they pup. And you've got as somebody described, brand new seal pups out on the ice.
So you dove.
Oh yeah, I was down here.
What was your purpose of being here?
Supporting the inshore biological program, which was fish physiology. We were actually doing the reference work to some extent for the larval fishes, to the post-larval fish species, what they grew into, what they looked like at different stages. So we're catching those, keeping them alive, so finding ways of sort of sucking them into bottles or whatever, so that, you know, they were uninjured and we could raise them in the aquarium. Routine collections for different institutions that were studying things, and also environmental long-term surveys to see if there were any changes over, you know, a period of time from the base. We did change some of our cleaning fluids and stuff, because everything used to go straight out to sea.
Yeah.
So no treatment works for the sewage or whatever.
Cool.